it's Sue here and welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Me. Dun, dun. Anyways, as you guys saw from the intro and the thumbnail and the title, today I will be talking about the time that I went to the emergency room. It was about 2 weeks ago. P.S. I never ever gotten that much sick in my whole entire life. I've never been to the ER, and so it was a hell of an experience for me, and I thought I had to share it with you guys because definitely there were a lot of things that I learned from the experience. Before we get started, I'd like to do a quick shout out to today's sponsor, which is Teamy, the green superfood blends. I've actually done an ad or sponsorship with them before. It's the exact same product, and they've reached out to me again and they were like, hey, do you want to do another sponsorship? And I was like, oh, hells yes, because this is something that I actually do intake on a regular basis, so it actually doesn't feel like an ad. It just feels like I'm introducing something that I've been taking. And to be honest, the sponsorship is hella relatable because we're going to be talking about health, gut health, and digestion problems, and this powder is actually great for all of that. So the purpose of the Teamy Green Superfood Blends is to basically increase your intake of veggies and superfoods that's really hard to, you know, come across on a daily basis. And this is basically a powder blend of so many vegetables, so many superfoods. Like we have wheatgrass, chlorophyll, spirulina, chlorella, spinach, broccoli, kale, kelp, parsley, celery, etc. So there's a lot of veggie powders in here. So all you have to do is take a bit of powder and mix it with water, or actually make your own smoothie. You can mix it with whatever you want, but you guys know I'm a lazy, simple kind of gal. So I just like to go straight in with water and mix it in. Shake it up real nice and just drink it straight in. This still tastes like matcha latte for me without the sweetness, so it does feel like a treat for me. And I know some of you guys actually purchased this after seeing my last sponsor video with the Teamy, and so let us know how it tastes for you guys, because everyone has of course different palates, but I just love taking this. It really does feel refreshing. So not only does this taste good, but it's actually great for your gut health and digestion, which were the reasons I went to the ER in the first place. And it has a lot of vegetable superfoods that really does help with the digestion. So for me, this is an A++. And you know, you guys know I never promote a lot of like diet products to begin with, because a lot of them do promote beliefs that I'm just not on board with, that I just don't believe in when it comes to looking after yourself and taking care of yourself. But the Teamy Green Superfood Blends is actually really healthy, and it's not promising you that it will help you lose weight or anything, you know, none of that BS that I don't believe in. And it's just really good and healthy for your body. So that's why I really do like taking them, and I do really recommend them. All right, now let's begin with the story time. I will be doing my skincare because I didn't really put on anything after I washed myself. But anyway, so let's take it back. Let's rewind it back to 2 weeks ago. It was exactly 2 weeks ago, Wednesday. I remember very clearly. First off, I'm taking the So Good Feel So Calm toner pad. Yes, my favorite toner pad. I created it. Please check it out. I just had come home after a date with my boyfriend, and it was like 9 to 10ish at night, and you know, my stomach was feeling a little uncomfortable, so of course I went to the bathroom to do number 2. And the fun thing was my stomach started to hurt real bad. Like when I was in the bathroom, it got to a point where I was like, shit, like this is going to be bad. Like, you know, you get that feeling when you have some pains in your stomach and you know it's not gonna go good. Well, yeah, I just had that feeling, but I thought I would just stick it out and wait for the pain to pass. That's how I usually deal with pain. For me, I've just never been the type to go to the hospital right away. For me, I just like to wait a couple of days and just see if it passes, and then if it doesn't, that's when I go to the hospital. So likewise with this pain, I just thought I would stick it out and just wait and let time do its thing. And so after I went to the bathroom, I just laid down in my bed and I called my boyfriend because I was hurting pretty bad, and I want to talk to him about it because I was a little bit concerned. And when I did call him, what surprised me was how much in actual pain I was. I don't think I realized it then, but you know, when I was speaking on the phone to him, I was literally panting and whispering. Like, I didn't sound like myself. I was like, hey, like, my stomach hurts real bad. And that freaked my boyfriend out so bad because, you know, it was out of a sudden, honestly, and so it freaked him out. He was like, should I call the ambulance? And for me, like I said, I never just been one to call the ambulance. You know, we don't do that in this household. So I was like, no, it's fine, like I'll just talk to my mom and I'll just sort it out and see what I can do. And so I got off the phone call with him, and then I, you know, called out to my mom, and I was like, hey mom, like I have really bad stomach pains. And she obviously didn't think too much of it. She just came to my room and she would just rub, you know, 엄마 손 역습니다, and like rub my tummy, belly. But then what happened was the pain got worse and worse, that I started to cry. Like, I never experienced pain like that, and it freaked me out. You know, so I was crying not only because it hurt, but also because I was frightened. I was like, what's happening to me? And so that's when I told my mom, hey mom, I wanted to go to the ER. I need to go to the hospital to see what's going on. Next, using the by Wishtrend, the lovely Propolis 15% Ampoule. Love the stuff. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and so my dad, he drove us to the ER. In the meantime, I was just, you know, squirming with pain. It was to a point where I was clenching my hands to myself like this so hard because of the pain that I got pins and needles, because I was just clenching my body so hard, and there was just so much tension that like the blood didn't flow through. So that was how much pain I was in. And it freaked my mom out, obviously, because she never seen me in this much pain. And we are going to the ER. We finally made it, but because of COVID, I couldn't get through right away. They had to do all of these identification checks. And so I remember I was just sitting in a wheelchair right outside the ER, just squirming with pain. And at this point, I was in so much pain, I didn't even have a sense of self. Like, it was just the pain that I could only focus on. And at that moment, I was like, shit, what if something bad, really bad happens to me? And I was freaking out. Knock on wood though, knock on wood, knock on wood. Now, luckily, while I was waiting to enter the ER, I had made like 3 trips to the bathroom. And that was when my body just decided to flush everything out. And I mean everything out. And it was so painful, but at the end of it, I felt much better. Like, I remember I was telling my mom, like, oh, 진짜 살 것 같다고, like, and I meant it, which basically means like I feel like I'm living again. I feel like myself again, because prior to that, I just felt so foreign to myself. I didn't recognize what I was going through. And eventually, by the time I actually went into the ER, I was feeling much better. For the cream, I'm taking the 평강유 Calming Moisture Barrier Cream. So I stepped into the ER, and what happened was I was feeling much better, but because I had sweated so much, I was so dehydrated, and because my body had just gone through this really high level of pain, I think what happened is like my body temperature dropped real low. So I remember my mother was taking my hand into her hand, and she was kind of like stroking that, like, oh, my poor little girl. And she looked at my nails and she was like, did you paint them purple? And I hadn't painted anything on my nails at that time, but because my body temperature was so low, they looked so purple, and I was shivering at that time. So there weren't any blankets in the emergency room, so my mother like managed to get hold of these like big banners of the hospital, and she put like 3 layers on top of me. And so we were in the hospital emergency room for, I want to say, like a couple of more hours. We were waiting for them to run tests with my blood sample and my urine sample. And we also did some x-ray shots to see what was really wrong. And that took a bit of time, but at the end, the results came out that nothing was wrong with me. Which is great, right? Which is really good news. But at the same time, I was a little confused. I was like, then why did I go through all of that pain for if there's nothing wrong with me? That was a little quizzical, but at the end of the day, I am thankful that nothing's wrong with me. I am healthy. It's just, I think what happened was that I just got a really bad case of indigestion. And even when I was in the emergency room waiting for the test results to come, I made several more trips to the bathroom, and I actually threw up everything I had eaten that night for dinner, for lunch. Like, I mean everything. Nothing was being digested. And so it was kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of like my body just shutting down and say, hey, we ain't working today, we ain't working nada. Prior to that Wednesday, for about a week before, I was having trouble, difficulties like digesting my food, so I was really careful with what I was eating, and I was basically just eating in small amounts. And you know, I think around that time the heat was really bad, and I was stressed out. And I say quote unquote because for me, most of the time consciously I don't feel like I'm stressed out, but I get all of these bodily symptoms that tell me I'm stressed out. Like, for example, I had water blisters in my lips for a week, and I never gotten them before. So I looked it up and I was like, hey, what's the cause of these water blisters? And it said stress. And then I remember telling your boyfriend, but I'm not stressed. Why are these symptoms telling me I'm stressed when I'm not stressed? So anyways, I was apparently stressed out, and I had a bad case of bad digestion. And so I think after a week of that, it just peaked eventually. And like I said, my body just decided to shut itself down for a break, really. It basically was forcing my body and myself to just get some bloody rest. And so I think that's what happened. A combination of all of these factors just put it together, and it just climaxed on Wednesday. Now I am feeling a lot better. Mind you, when I got out of the hospital, I did not feel like myself. My body had basically drained itself of all fluids, of all energy, of all food that I had intaken. And so I was so weak that I couldn't even walk properly. I couldn't walk like a normal person. And I remember this freaked me out as well, because you guys know I like to consider myself a pretty healthy person. You know, I like to work out really diligently. And so it was freaking me out because I was literally walking like an old granddad or a grandma, like crouched over and just walking slow as a snail. And that was the fastest that I could move, really. And I couldn't walk and talk at the same time because it would like cause me to go out of breath. Definitely a traumatic experience for me in looking at hindsight, because like I said, I've just never been in that much pain before. But through it, I obviously learned a couple of things. First of all, obviously health is the most important thing, and I know this is like an important fact that we all know and we hear it all the time, but I think especially when you're in your teens and 20s, I recently turned 29, you hear it but you don't really listen to it because, you know, we're still healthy, right? We rarely get sick severely, knock on wood. And so it's something that doesn't really hit home. But I think through this experience, it hit home real hot. And so I decided to take my health more seriously. Not in the sense of working out, because I'm already really good at that, but in the sense of taking rests. So prior to this incident, I've just never been good at taking rests. I always thought taking rests, it just felt so lazy, and I felt so guilty about it, and I just never let myself really take rests. But one thing I learned through this experience is that resting is just as being productive as working. You need to rest in order to give your body more energy so that you can work. And I know it's not the most healthiest notion, you know, resting to work better, but still, you know, it's still an improvement, because I used to think resting was for the weak or something. Yeah, I know, it's pretty bad. After what I had gone through, I've definitely been better at giving myself rest, and I don't feel guilty anymore. And also, when I do take rests, I let myself indulge. I read books, I binge watch on Netflix, I take naps, and it feels good, and I don't feel bad about taking rest. You know, like, I think the media should really stop glorifying being a workaholic and waking up at 5 o'clock to getting all these things done, because you know what? Okay, it might work for some people, but it's not for everyone. It's definitely not for me. I need my rest. It's all about having that balance, and it's all about not putting too much on either side of the spectrum. You know, it's not about working too much, it's not about resting too much, it's all about having that really nice balance. Also, I want to update you guys on my fitness journey. Obviously, because I was sick for about like a month, I couldn't work out, and so yeah, my body's looking a little spludgy, a little bit flabby, but it's okay. I already know that working out or fitness is a journey. There's no destination, and so it is what it is. But I am back on track. Today was actually the second time I went back to the gym, and then this Monday, so today's Wednesday, Monday I went back to pole dancing after a month, and boy, let me tell ya, my body had never felt so heavy in my life before. Like, I was literally grunting as I was trying to get my body up the pole, but it felt good. It felt good to be back on track. It feels good to be back on track. It feels good to be able to walk properly. I am still watching myself when I'm eating. I never let myself binge eat, because that's one of the problems when it comes to me digesting. And also I really try to eat slowly. Oh, sunscreen, sorry, I totally forgot. This is the Roundlab Birch Tree Moisture Sunscreen. I hope you guys enjoyed this in my box, which PS sold out in like 4 days. I was not expecting that, guys. And I know a lot of you guys wanted me to restock my beauty box with Bazaar, but we couldn't. We tried, but we couldn't, because, you know, you have to ask all of these brands that are carried in the box if it matches with their agenda, and some of them it wasn't working out, and so we couldn't restock. I am really sorry about that. It wasn't as if I didn't want to restock. Of course I wanted to restock for you guys. But yeah, ooh, the sun cream feels real nice. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. I hope that you guys also remember to not only work out, but also take good rests. Like, don't feel guilty about taking rest, because you're refueling, recharging your body with the energy that it needs. So don't feel guilty about it. Just have a good time. I think I really learned how to have a good time when I'm resting and really just letting myself enjoy. So yeah, all in all, I wouldn't say I would go through it again, but I did learn a lot of things through it. So yeah, please take care, guys. I love you guys all. Make sure to stay safe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Ciao!